I'm sitting down with a 19 years old agency founder who's just broke 50k MRR. We're going to dive into his story so far, the marketing channels that have failed and the ones that have worked tremendously, and his recommendations for B2B business owners so you can fast growth your success, learn from his mistakes. Sitting down with Samu, let's dive into it. Samu, welcome mate. Give us a quick snapshot of yourself and your business.
So I run a YouTube organic video agency. We basically create YouTube videos for B2B businesses and help them generate leads from that, as well as build their authority in their space. That's what we do in a nutshell.
Awesome, man. And I think there's going to be a lot of folks watching or listening in that think, how the heck has this guy hit 50k recurring revenue? He's only 19 years old. So for everyone that's as curious as me, let's start with a quick snapshot of the story so far. Like, what got you into the YouTube marketing, the YouTube video creation game for B2B and SaaS? How did you start, and kind of what's been the story up to now?
Yeah, so it wasn't an overnight success or anything. I started at 16, so like 3.5 years ago as like a freelance video editor. I just started like editing videos for free in my room because I had that skill. Growing up, I was learning like Adobe Premiere Pro because I was doing like shitty YouTube videos when I was a kid, gaming videos and stuff. So I had that skill, and I had the idea one day of like, maybe I should, use that in some sort of business. So I just started freelancing really at first just for free. Then I started charging like $10 per video, $20, and those first couple of dollars coming in online were like the coolest feeling ever. And yeah, since then I just got hooked on it, and I wanted to really scale it up since then. Yeah, after being a freelancer, I transitioned into an agency. I hired the first couple of people. I got out of the production, so I wasn't editing anymore. I was focusing on the business, the strategy side of things. Throughout that time, we were learning more and more about YouTube, what works. I was working with different creators, businesses, and slowly but surely I got more like specified in the B2B space. I was working with more and more like B2B businesses, and that's where I kind of found my niche, where I found my expertise, where I found really my sort of place in the market. So that's kind of like a snapshot of it.
Love it. Let's dive in a bit deeper. So I'm curious to know, when you were 16 or so, what sparked that motivation to make you think, I want to kind of start doing this, I want to start making some cash online and kind of growing my own thing? Because I know, for example, when I was 16, I was probably gaming all the time, maybe going out with mates, having drinks. Not like business was probably not even on my radar. Like I didn't even think of it as a thing. How did that all come about?
Yeah, so I was in high school and I was like just desperate for like freedom. I wanted to like make my own money. I wanted to do whatever I wanted, and I also didn't want to go to college. Like, it was one thing that I knew, like, I'm studying right now, but I don't want to study like 4 more years after that. I was just so like, I had enough of it. So I set it sort of my mission of like, before finishing high school, I wanted to make enough money so I can sustain myself. That was my goal, which I achieved relatively quickly. Like when I started, I had like this key to 3 years to achieve that, and I kind of achieved that like very, very early. So after that, my goal post was set a lot higher, a lot further. But yeah, that was like the main motivation is I just wanted freedom. I didn't want to go to college. I just didn't want to go down the normal route. I know that wasn't for me. So I said, okay, this is my chance. Video editing and like video creation is my chance to kind of achieve that and avoid that path. So that's what I did. I just doubled down on it, and it was definitely hard at the beginning, and it's still hard. Like, it's just not an easy process to do. It's very unusual compared to what other people do in my age. It's definitely super rewarding.
Love it. And what would you say, like, I've got so many friends that are maybe my age, I'm 34, possibly younger, some older, and so many I speak to like have these ideas about businesses they want to run, let alone kind of getting stuck in and actually doing it at 16. Like, what would you say to those people that are kind of basically procrastinating, right? Like, they've got this idea, they've got this concept, they could just do it, but they're constantly putting it off. Like, what would you say to give them the push, or what perhaps gave you the push at the time?
Yeah, good question. I would say like the biggest one for me is just like thinking about what will happen in like 5 or 10 years if you just keep doing what you're doing right now and just don't change. Like, for me, I knew like the clock was ticking. As I said, I had like 2 to 3 years to make it work. Otherwise, I'll have to go to college. Like, my parents won't let me not go to college if I don't have anything to show for it. So I needed that. I had that sort of deadline. So I was like, okay, I need to make it work. I start to put my head down and just make it work. And really, for people that don't have the urgency, they will never act on it. So you need some sort of urgency in your life. Either you just thinking about like what will happen in 5 to 10 years, or you have actual like a set deadline. Like in my case, you start to find that urgency and like just really get motivation from that, because otherwise like nothing will change really. Like, you just need to get started using that sort of motivation.
That's a great way to frame it, right? Like, what happens if I don't do this in a year, 5 years, 10 years from now? And I think what you mentioned as well, saying, look, this is where we're at now. It might be fresh, or it might be you've done a year in business, you've hit a certain goal, but by year 2, I need to get here. This is the milestone. If I don't, this happens. But more importantly, like, let's break this down into actual activities, daily habits, daily behaviors that can slowly but surely chip away and contribute to meaningfully getting through that goal. And I think getting that down in writing is like one of the most important steps. So then you've got a clear milestone. Like in my case, I think I put it on my desktop computer. As soon as I log on each day, I see like, this is the target, this is the channels we're running now, this is what's working, this is what not, this is the experiments we're taking, and more.
Real quick, if you want to start fueling your sales team with a steady stream of leads, demos, or booked calls from SEO and organic search across AI and Google, why not grab a call with myself over at breakingb2b.com. We can chat through exactly how SEO could potentially help your business drive a steady stream of inbound through organic search. Head over to breakingb2b.com or hit the link in the description below. Right, back to the video.
So let's dive into kind of some of the actionables that folks kind of tuning in can take away and put into practice. It's like you've given us an idea of kind of where you started and where you've got to. Talk us through kind of what's worked for yourself to drive growth. It'd be great to hear kind of some of the early things you did to grow, what failed hard, what worked a treat, and kind of what's been helping your success over the last kind of few months.
Yeah, so like I've tried everything, or at least most of it. There are certain things, as you said, that worked, certain things that didn't. One thing that I would definitely recommend for anyone who's either starting out or still in the beginning stages, like they may not have that much testimonials results, or they haven't broken into the industry they wanted to break into, is to work for free and just really don't be afraid to take those risks of like doing something for free without right away return. Because if you do good work, like that's the fastest way to like break into any sort of industry or get the furthest, is to just do work for free for the right people, like for people that are your ideal clients, that are like literally your dream clients. That's what I did when starting out, and when I didn't have like any case studies or stuff like that. I knew we did good work, but still I didn't have those like big results and those like big names in my portfolio or anything. So what I did was just really like leading with free value. In my case, it was I wrote like thousands of free YouTube scripts for like my dream ideal clients, just sending it out to them without any like upfront thing. That was what I was doing for a long time, and this really like got me the foundational clients that I have still right now. It even landed you as well. Like that's how I started working with you, and that was great for me, like especially when starting out. For anyone who's starting out or in the beginning of their B2B business or any like service business, I think that's very relevant, is to just find the right type of people who would be your ideal clients, your dream clients, and then do some sort of upfront free work for them without any questions, and just send it to them and really make sure that they can get value out of that without them having to go to you, get on a call or anything, just like pure value. And then if they see it, it's actually good, and if they're like actually satisfied with that, they will go to you, they will ask you for more work, they will book a call with you. And from there, if you just land like a couple of these people, then you will start to get referrals, then you will start to get case studies, and from there it's just so much easier. So you really just have to get those couple of people using this way. So that was how I started. That was like the main strategy that worked for me, and since then a couple of things that have been working for me very well. Like there are a couple of things. First one is content. So right now my focus is definitely on organic content and building my personal brand, really just showing people that I'm a real human. I can provide value, like I know what I'm doing, and so really showcasing that throughout my content. In my personal case, that's LinkedIn and YouTube content. That's the combination that works for me the best personally. I post on LinkedIn 5 times per week, and I try to do like one YouTube video per week, which I've been slacking on right now, but that's definitely what I recommend for my clients as well. And this combination really worked for me because people might find you on like other platforms, but when you have the content in the back end, they'll be able to go through it, they'll be able to binge watch all that content and just really trust you, and that has been a game changer. And no matter what, outreach method you use, ads, cold email, all that, like other marketing channels, like this sort of content foundation will help you a lot. Apart from that, what the other pillar is, or like what my other best advice is in terms of marketing and what I found works best, is just doing good work and just focusing on referrals and word of mouth. Because if you can like get that system going, that will just compound, because the more word of mouth you get, like the more referrals, the more clients you have, but then those clients will refer you as well. So like once that starts, like it's very hard to stop it. So if you just focus on good work, and that will start happening sooner or later. And that has been the main driver for my growth during the last couple of months, where I kind of 2x or 3x the business. That's been like literally the only reason why I was able to do that. So yeah, these are the methods that kind of work for me.
Good stuff. So I think one part that sometimes goes unnoticed is I went through it as well. If you're bootstrapped, so you don't have funding and you're looking to grow a B2B business, could be a service agency like we've both got, could be a SaaS company, like the scrappiness that you need at the start is unmatched in the sense that you did cold outreach like to myself, like Samu said about a year ago when he outreached to me, offered to do a free script and video, ended up being awesome. And then we've worked with him ever since on our YouTube game. We were the same. Like we were fortunate in the sense that I had a background. So I worked in a web agency for several years. Eventually, after many years of pain, trying to work for everyone and anyone, kind of defined my ICP and realized that we work best with B2B services, ideally B2B SaaS and tech companies, because they have the problem we solve around AEO and SEO. They're motivated to solve it. And these marketers and these SaaS teams have cash to invest and appreciate the value, which I think you've gone through the hardship as well, trying to sell to various other personas and eventually kind of landing on these clients are a good fit. They appreciate the value. They have cash to spend and they're motivated to get the job done. So I think that mapping out that dream client will take a bit of back and forth and pain and all those things. It's just a lesson that you've got to learn as a founder. If you can shortcut that process and you have a ICP already, awesome. It's going to save you a lot of time and pain. And then the scrappiness, like in your case, you did the manual outreach. In our case, when we started the company, we had barely any cash, like almost 2 years ago at Breaking B2B. So I just found a freelancer for cold email. He helped me build a cold email engine and I was manually crafting these cold emails and reaching out to tech marketing and SaaS marketing leaders, offering a free SEO video review and audit, manually recording tons of Loom videos, and eventually a few of those were grab a booked call. And one of those clients events there actually has ended up being a long-term client for us. And it just shows that these methods take a lot of late nights and hours and time and pain, but that's how you're going to get your initial cash flow and that's how you're going to get cash in the bank to then fuel the other marketing channels that might be more foundational and longer term. And like you said, word of mouth is nothing really beats that. Delivering a good product, maintaining customer happiness, and something we try to do, which I think you're the same, is like we're really trying to SOP at Breaking B2B like a go 5% above and beyond what we promised. It's like doing extra touches, extra recommendations, looking at folks like go to market and giving them extra Loom video ideas and just kind of really trying to ramp up because retention is so important, right, as a B2B service agency. So I think what you've said there is super helpful for folks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And yeah, if you don't have like retention, you will never scale after like a certain point. So yeah, that's definitely something that's just great strategy, is just trying to like give that extra touch to your clients and just trying to even like be friends with them, just connect on a personal level. And obviously apart from that, just provide a ton more value outside of what your normal scope of work is, whatever that can be. So you have to be creative with that. But yeah, that's kind of a great way to, retention and just achieve a lower churn and high retention.
Any tips? We talked a bit about kind of the early stages and growing the business and kind of going to market. Any bottlenecks that you face, Samu, around maybe the sales process, the pricing side of things, or anything else, I guess, in terms of actually kind of acquiring clients and growing the business that might be useful for folks tuning in?
Yeah, so there are certain bottlenecks that I'm facing right now that were bottlenecks that I was facing in the past. So in the past, the main bottlenecks that I was facing is similar to what you talked about earlier, is just finding your ICP and finding who you want to work with. Because if you like really work with the wrong people, that can mess up your whole business. Like that will, mess up your retention. It will mess up the results that you get for clients, like all of it. So if you don't nail that, like that will be very hard to scale. I made these mistakes in the past. I was working with many of the wrong people, just not the right fit, businesses, and that slowed me down for sure. But that was something that I since solved pretty much. So it's right now we are like very focused on our ICP, and like we have super good retention rate, thank God, this year especially, and we've been focusing on that. So we kind of solved that. Couple main bottlenecks that I'm still like working on solving is definitely like the team aspect, how I can get out of delivery fully, how I can automate the business more, how I can focus on the tasks that are really moving the needle forward as a founder. I'm yet to find like specific solutions for a couple of these, but yeah, that's definitely what I'm working on right now.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks for being transparent on kind of what you struggled with, what's working, what's not. What's the plan for the next 12 months and the years ahead?
Yeah, so definitely the plan is to just stack a lot more like high profile clients and just get crazy results. We are scaling very nicely all of our clients right now, and we are getting like better and better case studies, which is great, and which is definitely something that will drive our growth moving into next year. But yeah, the plan is just like land even better clients, even bigger companies, and just really scale them as well. So we get like more and more like insane case studies, and also with that more and more introductions to high level people, high level companies, where I can just go in there, show my work. Obviously they trust me because of all my other clients that I work with, and this way I just dominate this entire sort of niche of B2B SaaS and B2B service businesses. That's really my goal for next year. In terms of revenue wise, it's hard to say. It would be good to get to a couple $1 million per year in terms of ARR. That's my goal, but like I don't have like yet a specific set of goals set for next year, but yeah, we'll see.
Nice, man. And I think one thing that you've touched on a few times is, business coach said this to me once, like create undeniable evidence that you can deliver like easily for your dream clients, which is what you said, just stack up case studies, even if that means working for free or working for a low price to start with, if they are the dream client. Because the first thing people ask for on sales calls is like, can I see results? And if you've got that stacked on your website, which is something you've done, something we do, like you hit the results page on Breaking B2B and there's literally like 20 different video review testimonials with SaaS marketing leaders and founders, just why they chose us, problem they faced, why we partnered, results gained, etc. If you can just stack that, you just leverage that on your website, your landing pages, your newsletter, your own YouTube or podcast, and then you've just got it everywhere. So it's just easy for folks to see that you can deliver and they don't have to waste time on kind of jumping on client calls and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's, yeah, super helpful in terms of kind of getting that understanding. And also, weird thing in certainly the agency world is often the lower paying clients are more difficult, I found. I expect you've probably seen the same thing, like, which is annoying when you're starting out because it's difficult because you have less evidence. But then these clients that are typically the smaller businesses, they want to pay the least, but they expect the most. And they're the ones that are constantly nitpicking almost to the point where they ruin the end deliverables because they think their opinion's better than you as the professional. And it's almost like you have to go through that pain to then get to nailing down your ICP and realizing these folks will happily pay more. They know that you're the expert to deliver the solution. They'll pay you and let you get on with it. They'll give you your feedback when you ask for it, and maybe occasionally. And it's just one of those funny processes that sadly a lot of agency owners have to go through. But with that, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I appreciate you sharing the ups and downs and kind of what the plan is now and what's worked, what hasn't. For anyone that wants to get in touch for help with YouTube and marketing for their B2B company, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, thank you, mate. So yeah, I have my LinkedIn where I'm very active, so that's kind of the best way to reach me. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, DM me, and I'm always available there. I also have a website which we'll be able to like link, and you can book a call with me there. We have all our testimonials, and yeah, thanks for having me. I hope that this was at least valuable for a couple of people, maybe starting out or maybe a little bit further on that journey. And yeah, hope to do and have a similar talk with you soon when we schedule a little bit more as well.
Cheers, man. Chat soon.